When we get in the cover, I see the soldiers try to stop us to get down in the cover. Everything was wet. It was a good 3 inches of water and mud, everything in the ground. I was, I say, between 7,500 feet from the shield and from the tree. And the sun started breaking, and then the sun started roll, like dancing from one place to another place. And then we see the sun come towards where the shield and where the tree. And we see the sun come right into the tree. And the sun, about a minute or so, and the sun started rolling back again the way it came in.
My God!
Everybody started howling, cry. Some started to confess himself. Even my mother grabbed myself when he squeezed me into her, and he started crying. That's the end of the world. The wind started to blow pretty hard, real hard. But the ground was dry, just like it was exploded. And then our clothes, we don't feel at all. The clothes dry, and we look out, we was clean, just clean. The clothes come from the laundry. I can get it out of my mind. That was a miracle, a real miracle.
Imagine standing in a rain-soaked field with tens of thousands of people staring at the sky. You've waited for hours, drenched to the bone, all for the promise of a miracle. And then, suddenly, the clouds break apart. The sun appears, but it doesn't just shine. It begins to move, to spin, to throw colors across the land. People cry out, fall to their knees, and beg God for mercy. Some swear they see the sun rushing down toward them as if the world itself were ending. And then, as suddenly as it began, it is over. This was not a dream, not a private vision, but a public phenomenon that thousands claimed to witness on October 13, 1917, in a small village in Portugal. It would go on to be known as the Miracle of the Sun, one of the most debated and mysterious events in modern religious history. But what really happened that day? Was it a supernatural sign from God, a natural phenomenon misunderstood, or perhaps something else entirely? To understand, we must go back to the world of 1917 and the story of 3 shepherd children who shook the world. Before we dive deeper, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Now, let's uncover what really happened at the Miracle of the Sun. The early 20th century was marked by chaos. World War I was tearing Europe apart, leaving millions dead and millions more wounded or displaced. Portugal, though far from the main battlefields, had been pulled into the war and was suffering greatly. Domestically, the nation was unstable. Just a few years earlier, in 1910, the monarchy had been overthrown and replaced with a republic that was strongly anti-clerical. Religious practices were suppressed, and churches were persecuted. Many priests and nuns were driven into hiding. It was in this hostile environment that 3 poor shepherd children, Lucia dos Santos, aged 10, and her cousins Francisco and Jacinta Marto, aged 9 and 7, claimed to have an encounter with something from beyond this world. On May 13, 1917, while tending sheep in the Cova da Iria near the village of Fátima, the children reported seeing a woman brighter than the sun, who identified herself as the Virgin Mary. She appeared 6 times between May and October, always on the 13th of the month. During these encounters, the Lady of Fátima urged prayer, especially the Rosary, and called for repentance and conversion. She warned of future suffering and even spoke of global conflict if people did not turn back to God. Most striking of all was her promise. On October 13th, she would perform a miracle so that all may believe. This prophecy spread quickly. By the time October arrived, anticipation was enormous. Skeptics mocked the idea. Journalists planned to expose it, and believers clung to it with hope. The day of the promised miracle was stormy. Rain poured down endlessly, soaking the crowd of people who had gathered. Contemporary reports estimate between 50,000 and 70,000 were present at the Cova da Iria. Some accounts suggest that even more witnessed the event from miles away. At noon, the rain ceased, the clouds parted, and something extraordinary unfolded. Witnesses described the sun appearing as a spinning disk of silver. It rotated rapidly, casting brilliant colors, red, blue, green, yellow, across the entire landscape. Then, the sun seemed to zigzag and even plunge toward the earth, causing panic. People screamed and fell to their knees, convinced the world was ending. Others wept with joy, believing they were in the presence of the divine. And then, as quickly as it had begun, the sun returned to its normal place in the sky. Witnesses reported that their previously soaked clothes were suddenly dry, and the muddy ground had hardened. The power of this event lies in the testimonies. If only the children had seen it, it might be dismissed as imagination. But countless others reported the same thing, and newspapers, even secular and anti-religious ones, documented it. The Lisbon newspaper O Século, known for its skepticism, reported, "The sun trembled. The sun made unusual and sudden movements, outside all cosmic laws. The sun danced, according to the typical expression of the people." Dr. José María de Almeida Garrett, a professor at the University of Coimbra, testified, "The sun, at one moment surrounded with scarlet flame, at another, aureoled in yellow and deep purple, seemed to be in an exceedingly fast and whirling movement, at times appearing to be loosened from the sky and to be approaching the earth, strongly radiating heat." Yet not everyone saw the same thing. Some present reported seeing nothing unusual at all, and others, miles away but not part of the crowd, claimed to have seen the strange solar phenomenon without knowing of the event. For skeptics, the miracle of the sun has remained a puzzle for more than a century. Some suggest it was an optical illusion caused by people staring at the sun too long, while others believe unusual atmospheric conditions might have created strange light effects. Another explanation is mass hysteria, the idea that expectation and religious excitement made people think they saw something extraordinary. Yet these theories struggle to explain why some witnesses miles away, who knew nothing of the event, reported seeing the same phenomenon, or how the drenched clothes and muddy ground suddenly dried in a matter of moments. The Catholic Church spent years investigating the events at Fátima. After interviewing countless witnesses and examining reports, the Church eventually declared the apparitions and the miracle to be worthy of belief. This does not mean Catholics are required to believe in it, but it affirms that the Church accepts it as a genuine supernatural event. In 1930, the Bishop of Leiria officially approved devotion to Our Lady of Fátima. Since then, popes from Pius XII to John Paul II and beyond have spoken of its significance. Today, Fátima is one of the most visited pilgrimage sites in the world, drawing millions every year. The miracle of the sun cannot be understood in isolation. Throughout the Bible, God uses signs in the heavens to communicate with humanity. The prophet Joel proclaimed, "I will show wonders in the heavens and on the earth. The sun shall be turned to darkness, and the moon to blood, before the great and awesome day of the Lord comes. Joel chapter 2, verse 30 to 31. Jesus himself said, "There will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars. On the earth, nations will be in anguish and perplexity at the roaring and tossing of the sea." Luke chapter 21, verse 25. For many Christians, the miracle of the sun fits within this biblical pattern. Signs in the heavens intended not to entertain, but to awaken people to the reality of God and the urgency of repentance. The aftermath of the miracle was immense. Devotion to Our Lady of Fátima spread worldwide. Francisco and Jacinta Marto both died young, victims of the influenza epidemic, and were later canonized as saints. Lucia lived until 2005, spending her life as a nun and recording the messages she had received. Pilgrims continue to flock to Fátima today. The shrine stands as one of the most important religious destinations in Europe, second only to Rome itself. The miracle of the sun remains one of the most documented mass religious phenomena of the 20th century. Believers see it as a divine sign. Skeptics call it an unsolved mystery. But either way, it continues to fascinate and inspire. So, what really happened on October 13th, 1917? Tens of thousands of people claim to witness the impossible. The sun dancing in the sky, casting colors, and plunging toward the earth. Scientists are divided. Skeptics remain unconvinced. But the faithful see in it a clear message from heaven. Whether natural or supernatural, the miracle of the sun speaks to something greater. The human longing for hope, for signs of God's presence, and for assurance that we are not alone in our struggles. As Psalm chapter 19 verse 1 declares, "The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of His hands." Perhaps the miracle of the sun was not given merely to dazzle the eyes, but to open the hearts of millions to turn back to God. And maybe, just maybe, that is the true miracle of Fátima.